Hey guys, just want to say a few words about the fires, I should say, that we've been experiencing here in Los Angeles. I want to thank everybody that's reached out to see if me and my family are okay. My daughter was actually very close to the Palisades fire and she had evacuated. I believe she's about to come home if she hasn't already. She was actually living on the south side of Wilshire Boulevard, so fortunately it didn't get to her. My mother-in-law was evacuated from this fire that was up in the northern part of the area. We know people that were affected by the fire out in Pasadena. And, my heart goes out to everybody that lost homes, lost lives. I've been living in Los Angeles since late 1979, and I'm originally from New York, and I gotta say that I have never seen anything like this in my life here in LA. And it's really scary because normally these California wildfires take place in other areas in the mountains that are not typically as heavily populated as these areas are. When I first lived in Los Angeles back in 1980, 81, 82, I lived in Pacific Palisades, right by the beach, and I know that building that I had lived in, I think it's a goner. I believe it is. It was right in the middle of the fire zone. But last night I saw some stuff on YouTube about I think it was the Golden Globes, and they showed a couple of snippets where the host was at the half point of the show. I'm sure you guys have seen this, joking around about how all of these recipients of awards thank various different people, and she wanted to tally up who thanked who the most. I think in first place it was fellow cast members and producers and directors. Second place, I think maybe it was family members or your mom. And then in third place, it almost looked like a Family Feud sign. It said God, 0. And she said, and God, King of the Universe, got 0. In other words, what I know she was trying to say, and what they were trying to say, was that all of these actors and producers and directors in Hollywood really ought to be thanking God for all of their fortune and all of what they have. And she was obviously making a statement that typically nobody thanks God, but she was kind of joking around about it, and the whole audience, all of the attendees, the audience, they're just other showbiz people in attendance, they were all laughing. And then later in the show, or maybe earlier in the show, she did a little musical number where she put on a Pope hat and was singing a parody of a cross between Wicked, which I think is a demonic movie, but that's a topic for another video. She was crossing that with the other movie, I forgot what it was called, with Ray Fiennes and Stanley Tucci about the Pope. I forget what the movie is called. But again, that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was blasphemous. And as you all know, maybe you don't know, but exactly 2 nights after that show was broadcast, that's when all of these wildfires started, particularly in Pacific Palisades. And also when we actually evacuated on Wednesday night, and on that night a fire broke out in the Hollywood Hills, right above the Hollywood Boulevard, near the Hollywood sign, close to, right in the heart of the entertainment industry. So, a lot of people, including me, felt like because of all of this godlessness, people, not being believers and mocking God and just doing all sorts of evil in Hollywood, which is what this is known for. The city, it's kind of everybody does not seem to be worshiping God, and so one of the theories was that because God was mocked, he brought down this hellfire on these areas. And granted, there's a good case that could be made for that in terms of Pacific Palisades and Malibu were affected, and you probably saw in the news various different actors and celebrities who lost their homes. But a couple of, and then of course, the Hollywood Hills one, but they did put that out pretty fast. I guess they needed to protect those folks that live even closer to the industry. My feeling is I don't think so much that is the case, because there were other people that weren't necessarily in the motion picture industry or Hollywood per se, out in the Pasadena area, the suburbs. It's called Altadena, as some of you know, and typically that's primarily an African American neighborhood. It's the African American neighborhood section of Pasadena. And those folks typically are just regular working class folks. Now, granted, here in Southern California, any home is now valued at over $1 million. So, yes, those folks, they had a lot of equity in their home, I'm sure, and they weren't poor by any means. But my point is, I don't think that they would have gotten caught in the crossfire if God was trying to, to show something to the Hollywood elite and teach them a lesson. So I'm not sure if that was necessarily it. Plus, not to mention all of these very famous stars and celebrities, billionaire actors, producers, whatnot, that may have lost homes in either Pacific Palisades or the Hollywood Hills. They got so much money that it doesn't really matter, like Mel Gibson, for example. And he lost his home, but the way he was talking was, okay, for him, it's not that big a deal because he's got multiple millions of dollars. He can easily just move to another home. Yes, obviously there's sentimental value in his possessions, but he's in a position where he can do that. Another guy that I was listening to on a podcast was Grant Cardone. He's not a Hollywood guy. In fact, he's more of a right-wing real estate. He's a real estate developer and a sales guru that I followed for many years. But I was really surprised to find out that he had a house in Malibu. But again, when he was talking about the total loss of his house, that it burned down, he didn't seem overly upset because he has another house in Florida, probably multiple properties, so he has other things to fall back on. So, not sure, but I guess the bottom line and the point of this video that I'm recording is, it's time that we all wake up and start understanding that God is in control. If God could just make some rain happen, all of these fires which are still going on as I record this video, that would help. So, just something to think about. I've been, me and my wife are prayer warriors, and we, pray morning, noon, and night a lot. And just my, from my standpoint, I think that everybody needs to start looking toward God more and less toward their material possessions and things. And I guess that's all I have for now, but something to think about. Trust in God and start worshiping God. That's my 2 cents.